Oh, hi there. Um, there's something very difficult to explain, um, and I know people are going to get triggered, quote unquote, whatever that means to them. Because the thing is, sometimes when you say something, it actually really pisses someone off who's an asshole. And today, what I'm going to talk about is the Star Wars movies that were what did they call them again? Um, the prequels. I haven't watched any of the new stuff. I haven't. They're in my packages in my closet. Anyway, um, essentially, there's a topic that a lot of people don't understand about it, and how movies are made and why they're depicted in whatever light. That is decided by intellectuals, and they do it for manipulative reasons. Um, they um, they just try to, on a mass scale, the masses, the sheeple, quote unquote sheeples. Um, what it is Jar Jar Binks. I had heard the story that Jar Jar Binks was evil, and a stupid person would look at Jar Jar Binks and go, "Oh, he's irritating." And there are metaphors about him. Um, the the first Star Wars renewal was good. Liam Neeson, he played that part to a T. Darth Maul was cool, and Padme, although she was, dare I say it, an Israeli, she was Jewish. She is Jewish, proud to be Jewish, and you can look up her earlier rap video where she got very angry, and that's to there's a reason why people get angry. It's because they're just it's to say don't mess with me and all that kind of stuff. Um, Jar Jar Binks, they were told that he was promoted to general. Um, the thing is, I don't even know the guy's name who played him. It was a black guy. Um, there is a sexual metaphor to that. It's basically an ugly, annoying white woman going with a black guy. Essentially, that's an underlying message that's in the movie, and Liam Neeson did what he could to make that character unlikable. The problem with that is that young people were told not to like Star Wars because of that, and it's like, no, the first one was a good movie. Just you could fast forward past the Jar Jar Binks scenes if you like. It's not that big a deal because he was an irritant, and not only was he an irritant, but I bet you he was just as bad as that the googly-eyed black guy in the Predator 2018 movie. He didn't stop putting his 2 cents in. I mean, he shouldn't even have been in the second and the third movie. But yeah, Anakin, everyone knows, the official release that was in theaters, and not that I went to go see it in theaters. And to be honest with you, I don't even think I've watched Revenge of the Sith in its entirety, and I don't even own the DVD. I, contemplated buying the DVD on Amazon, and I saw that it was like an absurd price. It was like I forget what it was. I think it was like $60, and I'm like, I'm not paying for a bad movie, all right? And it was that guy who used his manipulative powers to depict Hayden Christensen as an unlikable person. Um, it was a little bit of deception, and the thing is this is a very difficult subject to talk about because people just they get really angry when you go to talk about it. But this is my YouTube channel, so I think I can talk about it. Um, yeah, what it is, Darth Vader in the original saga was actually somewhat charismatic and a bit more benevolent or something like that. Like even for a bad guy, for the bad organization. I mean, Yoda in the originals, he was all right, but there were things about him, especially however he was talking to Luke and things like that, that are more than questionable. And the guy who played Jar Jar Binks wanted to prop up. They wanted to prop up Yoda. So of course Yoda, they're going to make a movie about him, and spin this great story about him. And there are questions on who he is, what he is exactly, who are the people who collaborated on making that character. And Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson. He's done loads of bad things as far as manipulative content, and he is a guy who is intimidating when he's mad. And you take a movie like Pulp Fiction. Everybody liked it at the time because it was they hadn't seen anything like that before, and it was exhilarating for them. But when you watch that movie, you go, none of this stuff is any good. I don't like the whole story altogether. I guess it's a story that needs to be told. But I know plenty of people that first thing they do when they want to put on a movie is they want to put on Pulp Fiction. I'm like, no, I don't want to put on Pulp Fiction. I don't think it's that great a movie, and I think Quentin Tarantino is an overrated director and actor. Django was good as a movie. Django was good. There never was historically a German guy like that one. That is a lie. And that was basically a metaphor for whites didn't always win in the slave trade, although they did a lot of brutal things. And I think that scene should not have been added to Revenge of the Sith. Hayden Christensen, he's just trying to make money, trying to do his thing, and he played the part as best he could. He had to take a lot of people, heckling him, calling him names and stuff, and all this bullshit because, it's just all part of propaganda, right? And, he did it to the best of his abilities, and, it's just a lot of people don't understand that movie for what it is. And, I couldn't sit through it. There's so many annoying, irritating things about it. Like, it seemed like forever that, what's his name? The guy who plays Obi-Wan was writing that, kind of, I don't know, what do you call it, an iguana type thing. And I didn't much care for the Wookiee fight and things like that. And the other part of this deception of the movie is, and stupid people don't get it, is the story of why Padme, Princess Leia's mother, although it's a prequel movie and this is Natalie Portman we're talking about, the Jewish woman from Israel. And they told it in a profoundly stupid way that she just lost the will to live when Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were born. And, the thing is, like, that story doesn't make any sense. That's a lie. What do you think a Jewish person would actually do? I don't know, make somebody else do their dirty work. And that's exactly what you would expect out of them. So she is by far no way innocent. In fact, there's multiple scenes where you could see that she was a witch. Okay, you take a look at that palace that she lives in, right? She's a powerful woman. She controls an army, or army controls her, however way it works. And her mansion would be like a fortress. And there are a lot of moments where she's pretending to be cringing and things like that. And like, there are jokes on the internet where it's like she's aggressively pressing the panic button. Well, is she doing that, or is she pressing the button that closes the cage down so that Hayden Christensen can't escape? Because he's still a fairly young guy. I don't know how old he is. I think he's like a year older than me. And, he's an intelligent man, but, obviously I wouldn't want to be, Hayden Christensen, who was portrayed as an involuntary celibate beforehand. And this created this whole media backlash of what they can say on the television based on the manipulation of this movie and the people that watched it and didn't understand what they were watching. And that is an evil thing that, I honestly don't see guys like Liam Neeson, the guy who played Obi-Wan, Hayden Christensen, I don't see them doing that. And to an extent, I don't even see Natalie Portman doing that. Oh, shoot, be ever going to be pissed for me saying that if she ever heard. Not that I have any reason to think that she would have, but, like, you never know, man. So, I mean, she's pretty enough, I suppose, except she's got a mole. And those things are contagious. Anyway, the thing is, it's should have been written differently, because it's just because of it, and the idiots who are making videos about it, most of them would talk dumb to you, because that's how people like to talk. They always like to tell people, dumb it down, dumb it down, dumb it down. And they get a misrepresentation of the facts. And so people will watch, these videos on Star Wars theories. I know of them, but I don't watch them because I know they're just terrible movies. I got a real opinion, and the thing is, to say it makes you sound a little bit racist. But the thing is, it's the truth. I don't trust Samuel L. Jackson not to have, pushed his way into the movie and made it written the way he wanted it written. I don't see him not doing that. And that's just the truth. We've seen the guy for many, many years. And, that was big of him to play, that guy in, what was that movie called? Oh, Django, that's right. That was big of him to do that, but he was an evil black guy, and he still is an evil black guy. Like, Lord Vader should not have been put in that light. And the thing is, like, it's also led to just a whole other chain of events of how the government views human behavior, because they're always testing on us. That's what they're always trying to do. Because they want to learn more, and they want to do whatever it is they want to do with impunity. And it's really grotesque. It's abominable, unforgivable. And it's like, getting back to Hayden Christensen and the quotation of involuntary celibacy, incel to other people, whatever they want to think of it as. Um, you know, and then having no choice but to be, essentially dragged to some queen by the name of Princess Padme, to do her dirty work. I mean, it's a propaganda film, right? But, that was like not cool. And as I said, the real Padme in that scenario would have run off. So they just manufactured this condition or scenario where Hayden Christensen looked like shit. He looked like a terrible person. And he looked like he deserved to get, burnt to a crisp and things like that. And they did it on purpose because they're fucked up in the head. They really are. And, why can't they be like Carl Weathers or Billy Duke or Sonny Landham? Like, those guys they were cool when they were in the original Predator. In my opinion, the only Predator. Predator 2, there were some things about it that were okay, but others that weren't. And, as a movie, it was worth watching. But Predator 1 was the better movie. And Predator 2018, as well as all those terrible Predator versus Alien movies, they were all awful. There might have been one of them that was good that I couldn't even remember the name. But I don't think so. Like, I just remember stupid things like how the Predator was trying to evolve and things like that, and the hybrid thing, and that's why they grabbed that black chick and put the P on her forehead with I think it was the alien's acid or something like that. It's like, okay, whatever. And the thing is, I'm the guy who would rather play StarCraft, the original StarCraft, because that was a good game. StarCraft 2 was a mental disorder. And StarCraft, the original one, there was a point. Give me a second to think. That I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, right. The whole what's the word for it? There was a cutscene in StarCraft, an extra cutscene where the Protoss leader Zeratul sees hybridization with the Zerg because of the myth of the Xel'Naga and things like that, which the trailer for StarCraft 2 looked good, but the game was terrible. The thing is, I mean, StarCraft 1 was the better game because the Protoss commander, who essentially you could label him as something like a Predator type, I guess, just with his mouth shut. Like some people like to rope all alien type movies into the same box, and it's like, no, they're not. He called it an abomination. And you want to know something? I also call it an abomination. There is no way the Predator would be obsessed with hybridization and things like that. Obviously there are different types of white people, and there's a thing, inbred and things like that, and there are. It actually isn't only white people. Actually, there's a lot of races in the world that are inbred. And, I'm not inbred, but I am Caucasian. And for the depiction of, the essentially, he was the Anakin Skywalker of today's generation, Hayden Christensen, and he was very wise. He wouldn't have had any choice because he just didn't know, right? Because if you know Star Wars, the prequels, you know that the Jedi forbidden him from going with any women, yada, yada, yada. And the princess, Padme, a Jewish woman, as I can't emphasize enough, inhibiting him from going with chicks, that essentially put him in a bad situation. And what happened? He got burnt to a crisp. And the Jedi Council, they knew Palpatine's intentions. There were all kinds of things at work, and it's like such a hard subject to describe because so many people get mad when you contradict their version of how they want to tell it. And not that there aren't people that do that, but supposedly they have to be trained experts and things like that. And they would never do it where their fizzog is in front of a camera like me. But I'm a badass, so I'm going to say it like it is. That movie was poorly written, and it should have been written a lot better, and it shouldn't have been put in a light where it put people off. I mean, Liam Neeson, he probably wanted to do that because he wasn't sure how the third one was going to be written, and, they had to think of a reason for why Darth Vader became Darth Vader in the first place, and, I don't think that's indicative. And the thing is, these are all kind of, mixed up stories of history that have been going on for a long time. And, I think it just sent the wrong message. I think it did. And I'm very, very concerned that me making this video, there's going to be some jerk-off out there who's going to alter the way how I speak because they've seen how my mouth moves when I go to talk. So it'd be quite easy for them to come along and say, oh, Ryan's saying this, he's saying that, and it's just not true. It isn't true. Because I contradicted their narrative, and they're the bad guys. Meanwhile, I'm at home, minding my own business. I got a real bad sore throat. I've had it for 6 years. They have no interest in getting rid of it because they want to perpetuate this media story of, bad things happening, the wrong things happening. And they want to be able to turn around and use one word to label you as anything, and it doesn't even have to be true. And the thing is, people are stupid. They'll just believe it. And all of a sudden, that person becomes a nobody, becomes worthless. And, there are scenarios where, obviously that's just screwed up in the head to, have that kind of opinion. So it's not the movie itself, because, as I said, Hayden Christensen did it to the best of his abilities. Liam Neeson did it to the best of his abilities. There may have been some valid points with some of the other characters. Like the man who played Boba Fett. Actually, he played Jango Fett, but, it was Boba Fett, It's just the way it is. He was a very, he put his son in a difficult position to play Boba Fett because, Boba Fett, there are some people who want to tell the story that that's how the story ended, and that is the Harrison Ford types. I am not like a Harrison Ford guy. I don't like Harrison Ford that much, in some ways. He's got some points, but in that way I don't really like him. And, you know what? There's a debate as to whether Boba Fett should be played by, as a prequel or an after the fact, after, what was it called? A New Hope in the originals, the third movie. Oh no, that was Return of the Jedi. That's right. And the thing is, it would have been better, and you're like, no, like not perverted, if Boba Fett escaped. And the thing is, people say, well, it's going to be a prequel. It's going to be a prequel. Then, hypothetically, people could still say, nah, this is how it really went down, because they get some sort of perverted pleasure out of that. And, that's just screwed up in the head. It really is. And it's like, I've known for a while that, people have been trying to goad me into saying something I shouldn't, and that this was a difficult topic. But in lieu of, certain factors, I'll say it like it is. Propaganda is a dangerous tool, and I don't think anybody should be allowed to make YouTube channels or discuss anything of this nature unless they're over the age of 21. Because, this kind of stuff, it could, cause globus hystericus and things like that. And, and my point about, marijuana that I made, I live in BC. You can't avoid, running past someone who's smoking marijuana. You can't do it. I don't like marijuana. And the thing is, all the myths about it are not true at all. Like, I had one idiot friend who thought he was getting his stuff organic, and I went, yeah, right, take a look at this. This is not organic. This is genetically modified. Marijuana didn't used to look like that, and the positive things they say about it aren't true at all. There might be some benefits to it, not that I think there are any, but some people may think there are benefits to it, but all in all, there aren't really. Like, I've seen all kinds of conditions that people have that cause, a mental disorder. Like, you'll get people who have, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, it's a very, very difficult subject to talk about. And anyway, with that, with the way they're designing movies now, it's a mental disorder. Like, I watched Predator 2, and, like, it was all Indians and no chiefs. Although they were pretending to be chiefs, they weren't. They were Indians. And, in the original Predator, there was a sense of camaraderie, respect, intellect, and they kept it simple, okay? Carl Weathers, he played his part excellently. He was smarter than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Billy Duke, he was driven, he was motivated, he had a good reason for, being mad. And, he played a good guy. I don't know those guys in their personal lives, but, Carl Weathers, offhand, I think of him as a good guy. And, well, I mean, at the end, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger who defeats the Predator, right? But, having your arm blown off and being in a movie that awesome and, not necessarily getting paid, the big bucks, but, in other ways, get, the easy life. Things aren't so bad. And, this is a depiction of, like, I don't foresee the way the movie industry is going as it being a good thing. And I know the irony of me waving my hands around and there actually being a hand on a poster next to my next to me in my chair. And it's just that's like I didn't really know how to explain that situation properly, and I really had to take time to figure it out because I mean it's all about circumstances, right? And sometimes you can be completely honest, tell the truth, be the good guy, and people will still fucking hate you just because of their own preconceived biases. Um, and that ain't cool. It really isn't cool. And the millennials, because I'm a millennial, I was born in '86, right? I perceive the world differently than people who are younger than I am, and also similar to people who are my age, except it's circumstances. And unfortunately, I've been called a lot of bad names on the internet, so that, as I said, they're not applicable to me, and it's a total crock. And like, oh, we're not even going to talk about that damn character from the Batman movies. He never was in a Batman movie. He just played a dribbling fucking idiot in the animated version, which is all he damn well deserved. But he was in a few of the video games, and there are people who really want to push it. And I have said that I don't particularly like Swedish people, and that's because the money machine in Sweden, as far as the movie industry goes, is Pennywise. And I don't like Pennywise. I didn't watch the original It, and I haven't even seen the second one, although it showed up on the recommended list to watch by some people. And you get so many stupid idiots going, how great a movie that was. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. You don't understand what you were watching. So, anyway, I'm going to finish up this video because my neck fucking hurts. Anyway, just what I'm going to say is like, I guess, what would Austin Powers say? I don't know. The original one was a funny movie. That was alright. Shrek. I don't know. There's some things I don't like about Shrek, but I guess the character of Shrek was alright, I suppose. I only really watched the first movie, although I was in Anaheim and did see another version. However, I wish people would relax, because that's the problem. I see mental disorders are coming up with the way the movie industry is going, the perpetuation of things that aren't good, and I don't like the idea of people taking away my booze, which is the underlying message I seem to be hearing. And I don't want no tough person coming up and giving me all kinds of gears, because they're getting the gears for me doing my job and explaining this, because I've been put in certain situations. And, like, this is, like, calm down. Relax. It's not a big deal. Anyway, I'm unconcerned. So, I'll talk to you creeps later. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm gonna drink some booze so that, I can relax. Not, smoke marijuana, which causes, all kinds of bad things. So yeah, I don't want anyone to think that Princess Padme was the good person in that movie, because she wasn't. She was a bitch. a colossal bitch. And that was that was a thing. So anyway, gonna leave it at this here, and we'll see you guys later, or people later. Chicks too, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure that out. However, I'm not very interested in being dragged to the Whore Queen, and then being locked in her dungeon. That doesn't sound cool. That doesn't sound like something I want to do. It sounds horrible, actually. It's like I made a meme earlier today, actually, about that. About a bird cage, because I don't like bird cages, because birds like to fly, they like to go places. And I mean, obviously you may want some for pets, but why don't you get like a big giant, well, not a cage, I wouldn't call it that, but but somewhere where they can be birds, so that you're not punishing them, for not doing anything but being stupid. So yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are very pissed off with me right now, and I don't need no reminders of that. I've had a sore throat for 6 fucking years, and I just do not want to put up with it. I don't even want to, like there are people who go, oh, don't you want to be in the movies, man? Like, I hardly even like making YouTube videos. I'm here to collect a paycheck and do my thing, okay? So please kindly fuck off, creeps, okay? That's all I'm asking. Fuck off. Anyway, see you later.